So Drew, you're always looking at how technology makes our lives easier. You were saying to me earlier how you think that technology adds to relationships rather than takes away from them. So how does technology change the way we've always interacted?
Gosh, that's a very broad question. But fundamentally, social, we've been doing this since the caveman days. They're conversations just like we're having, but now technology has allowed us to make those public. And allowed people to therefore join in and interact, and those conversations now grow and extrapolate and cause wars or insurrection in certain parts of the world. And that's not that those conversations weren't ever happening before, it's just that they're now allowed to be amplified through the technology.
So you've already sort of highlighted an extreme outcome of the amplification of those conversations. As business people or as individuals building a career, how do you know where to draw the line so that the amplifications of things you want to get out there rather than things that could really cause a lot of damage to your reputation?
Okay, so of course you should talk knowledgeably about what you do. If you become what we at Like Minds call a thought leader, then people are going to be interested to talk to you and learn from you and engage with you. And then once you've got an engaged audience, then you can take the conversation into all sorts of different directions. People come to you as a trusted source for information. So if you can establish that initially, then that's going to be a positive benefit to your business. Conversely, if something goes wrong with your business publicly and people are calling you out on a social channel like Twitter, for example, you've got to be knowledgeable about the situation yourself. I've always talked about the scenario where a CEO of a business is in line in an airport, and somebody comes up to them and says, "You're, CEO of X company," and he says, "Yes, that's right." This is a normal man in the street says, "Well, what are you going to do about this? This is terrible." And the chief exec stands there with his mouth open because he hasn't had his PR statement prepared for him. He doesn't know really what to say to this person because he hasn't had those sorts of conversations. And unbeknownst to him, that person is doing an audio boo and it's going up live onto the internet. And that can totally undo all the good work that all the PR and advertising money has done to position the brand to, in the first place.
So how do you guard against that? Because you can't have a bodyguard with your CEO every.
You can't, no. But the senior members of all organisations need to have, in the old days, what we would call media training. They have to have social media training now. They have to be able to cope with those sorts of situations that you can be approached in a restaurant, on a bus, on an aeroplane, and you're going to have to be able to react appropriately.
There's no real chance now to say, well, we just don't do social media, is there?
There's no chance, there's no excuse. And in fact, I saw Willie Walsh say this on British Airways talk the other day, and he said, I'm never going to go onto social media because I'd be fired within 2 weeks. And that's a sort of humorous aside, but he does need to, and he needs to face the challenge that you can't duck issues. You can't duck issues anymore.
No hiding place.
No hiding place.
Great, thanks, Drew.